Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, including everything for your kitchen, house, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, the impact of Hurricane Beryl on the education system. And in the second watch, concerns about the infiltration of LGBTQ questions and ideology at a Jamaican hospital. For our social media question, we ask, what can we do to help those still affected by Hurricane Beryl? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp at 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, today's I quote says, "And everything come from above, a blessing." And this is a Jamaican proverb, which means that everything that comes from above is a blessing.
Well, you know, I thought you'd have put more of the what's that word now? The Jamaican pronunciation. Because
I try. Miss Loa alone could have said that. Bless her soul.
Well, I won't even go there. Thank you, Jikal. The Morning Watch will return after this break.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for, and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO. IPO with Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Febreze. Imagine getting home after a long day and it smells so amazing that it makes you smile. Try Febreze Plugs, an air freshener that delivers continuous scent for up to 50 days when you plug it in low mode. Indulge in wonderful scents for weeks with Febreze. La 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 la.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, including everything for your kitchen, house, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is now accepting applications for the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship. Jamaican citizens pursuing a first degree, master's or PhD in any health-related field, including medical social work, human resources for health, nursing, dentistry, health economics, or any other can qualify for up to $1 million per year for 5 years to complete their studies. Visit www.moh.gov.jm/scholarship for more details and to submit your application. Deadline date is Wednesday, July 31, 2024. We look forward to seeing your application.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly.
Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
On your mark, set, get ready to go. It's time for the True Juice 5K, the one-of-a-kind experience taking you through the beautiful True Juice orchards in Monrock, Sunday, July 21, 2024. Register now at truejuice.com. Entry fee only $2,500. Come run, walk, and have fun while raising funds for the Lincoln Hospital. Follow at True Juice on Instagram for more details.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the first watch. Now, earlier this month of July, Hurricane Beryl caused much damage to parts of Jamaica, in particular the southern parts of Jamaica, such as Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. Not saying that there wasn't damage elsewhere. The hurricane caused flooding. Some persons lost their roofs. Many persons were without electric power for days. And generally life was just disrupted. And even right now, some persons still haven't had full restoration of the relevant services, or they haven't been restored at all in a few cases, or in some cases. But specifically, what is the impact, or what was the impact of the hurricane on the education system? Now, some schools appear to have been spared the wrath, but others were not. How was the education sector impacted by the hurricane? We have as our guest today, Dr. Mark Smith. He's a principal of Monroe, and that particular institution did suffer significant damage. We also have Leighton Johnson. Mr. Johnson is the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good morning.
And I'm speaking with, at the moment, Dr. Smith or Mr. Johnson. Good morning. Who do we have on at the moment? Is it Dr. Smith? Dr. Smith?
Smith, yes.
Dr. Smith, principal of Monroe. Now, tell us, generally speaking, sir, give us a synopsis as to the impact of Beryl on Monroe.
Well, let me first of all start with thanking you for having me on this morning. I can assure you that it was a horrific experience. Beryl, of course, being a Category 4 hurricane. I am just so thankful to God that it did not walk the path of Hurricane Gilbert, and I would have been old enough to remember Hurricane Gilbert. That created significant devastation throughout the entire island. But Beryl, for the parishes of Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, and Manchester, we took a battering, but particularly St. Elizabeth, and we're on the southern tip of the parish. So Monroe College stands around 2,000 feet on the Santa Cruz mountain range. We're on the highest point. And so from the school, you can actually see the sea. And so there was nothing to block the full onslaught of the wind. And I'm telling you, we did get it. One could say it looked like some person went through the school and ripped off most of the roofs. We had significant damage to 31 of the 35 buildings on the campus. And so that kind of gives you the scope of the damage everything from the roofs, the windows, electronics, doors being blown out, the furniture damage, all our well, I shouldn't say all, but roughly 90% of our electrical lines are down. So although the school, being a boarding school, has what we call a large industrial generator unit, we still can't use that. So we're without light, as with many places also in the area. And to compound matters, we have only a few weeks before the start of school. And so you can understand the level of anxiety and the challenges that we face in trying to get school ready within a very short window. But I can tell you, it was quite a significant experience. I had a few of my staff members, with roughly 10 individuals that live on with their families, some with their families, and there are some horrifying experiences. They've shared. One gentleman said when he couldn't find, when the roof went and couldn't find any place in the house, the only place he could eventually find that was dry was his bathroom, and so he had to sleep in the tub. Obviously there was this case I shared with several other media houses of a member of staff and her family, and they moved from one room, and every room they moved into shortly after the roof in that room went, until I went into her bedroom. And when that went, she just went in the closet with her 3 children, and they said they sang hymns and prayed throughout the entire ordeal. Well, for 2 hours the rain beat down on them. Those are some of the stories that staff went through. I have another several. In fact, around 12 of my staff members would have lost their roofs, and those who were within the community. And so we went out and gave some care packages and provided support. And so we have to understand also that the wider community has been terribly damaged by this storm. And while Kingston, and I went to Kingston a few days ago, and I noticed that it was business as usual. One couldn't even imagine the apocalyptic scenes that you see in St. Elizabeth, that it is actually not surreal. But it is quite something for us to understand and grasp.
Yes, just trying to wrap your mind around it. That alone is because reading about it, hearing about it, but the way you have communicated it, Dr. Smith, it really begins to help you to even understand the impact it has had on the individual. Having to sleep in the bathtub, having to find a refuge in the closet and sing hymns with your children while the rain beat down for 2 hours. These are not the sorts of things that you can even measure in dollar terms. I mean, I don't even know how to express it any further, Dr. Smith. So what is happening now? And where do you go from here? And maybe you can even give us an idea as to the kind of expense you will all have to go to try to, in terms of the physical infrastructure, bring it back to some level of order so that school can resume come September.
Yes, and you're quite right. Sometimes just to grasp the scale of the damage, there's a community nearby called Yardley that we also look at the Lovers Leap area. And if you drive over those areas, they're very close to the sea. And it's heartrending. The true tragedy, I mean, the buildings we can always replace, and that's important, of course, but it's a human cost and the toll and the trauma. I remember one lady, as we were driving around, a team from my school, I said, even in our darkest moments, you must still find the opportunity to give back and to support others who may be worse off. And so, we drove around, gave out some care packages. We met individuals and you heard their stories. One lady, when I asked her, how are you coping? And she said, I don't want to talk about it. And you could see her eyes are swelling up with tears. It really is a significant human toll also as a people. And I must commend you. It's really for the politicians out. You see members of, I think it was the Rotary Club. I saw the Kingston Rotary Club. They were touring also.
Dr. Smith, only because of time, I'm going to ask to pause a moment because we are upon a break. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sure. Right.
Time on Love 101 is now 7:15.
you ready for another exciting show? It's at Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. this Thursday, July 18. Well, join me, Sarah, and the Trophy One for another time to recollect and to reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing exercise at 1:45. Then prayer blast will be at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past. We'll share with you some traditional Jamaican proverbs, part 3. Then at 3 p.m., join us with music overload, of course, in a Take Me Back style. All the tomorrow come alive with 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. this Thursday, July 18 on the family station, Love 101.
Hurricane Beryl has left many in St. Elizabeth urgently needing assistance. We here at the family station, Love 101, invite you to be your brother's keeper by donating non-perishable items, bottled water, clothing, hygiene products, over-the-counter medicine, and more by Thursday, July 18, 2024. Please drop off your contributions at our office, 81 Hagley Park Road, Kingston 10. For cash donations, call us at 876-968-9596 or 876-968-9597. Thank you for your contribution. We are stronger together.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic is the impact of Hurricane Beryl on the education system. Our guest thus far is Dr. Mark Smith, principal of Monroe. We hope to be joined by Mr. Leighton Johnson. Well, I gather we are now being joined by Mr. Leighton Johnson, president of the Jamaica Teachers Association. Good morning again, Dr. Smith, and good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, Stokeley. Good morning.
Morning.
Before we have you comment, Mr. Johnson, I just want to see if we can at least conclude the response of Dr. Mark Smith. Dr. Smith, you are responding in relation to, you know, the impact in terms of the human side of what Hurricane Beryl did to you know, your parish, St. Elizabeth, Monroe, of course, and also how will Monroe as an institution be able to get back on its feet in some semblance of good order come September? And of course, if you can give us an idea as to what is the dollar cost to date anyway, in terms of restoring the institution. Dr. Smith, please continue.
Yes, let me, of course, greet the president, Mr. Leighton Johnson. The reality is it is going to take a significant collaboration to effect the type of repairs we need in the timely manner that is necessary in order to prevent any disruption to school come September. As I said before, it's just around the corner, so we don't have much time, and I impressed this reality upon the permanent secretary when we had a meeting last week that we really need to get all hands on deck, and it's not only a ministry thing. Of course, we're fortunate at Monroe College to have a very strong alumni, and the Monroe College Old Boys Association, especially when we thank Victor Tomlinson, president, and his team, and all the old boys, those who are members of the association, those who are not, who have reached out, really wanting to see their alma mater rise from the ashes, so to speak, and become bigger and better and stronger from this experience. I think it is always important for us to have a positive outlook on things, and so it gives the opportunity for us to rebuild bigger, better, and stronger. And that's my mindset. That's kind of the way I've approached it, and the way I speak to the staff about it. We had a staff meeting, and I explained to them, I said, listen, it may feel like our school has been broken into 1,000 pieces, but last time I checked, even broken crayons can still color. And so, despite the challenges that we face, we have to have that mindset that we're going to overcome it. But it does take real resources, Platitudes are great. It's great to have the talk, but with this tight time frame that we have, we have to get all hands on board and really build a coalition. Corporate Jamaica, I want to thank several companies that have come on board indicating a willingness to assist in the recovery effort. Some companies have indicated that they will give significant discounts. Others are donating actual items. And so, we just want to thank Corporate Jamaica because we're really going to take, as I said, a coalition of willing individuals to help the school to turn the corner, especially with the tight constraints. The focus, however, is primarily on getting classrooms ready and staff cottages, because we have to, of course, accommodate the staff and ensure that they are able to settle so that they can be available to provide the instruction necessary and teaching and learning. And also the classrooms. We also have significant damage to our administrative office. In fact, I've been displaced as a principal because my office roof went also. But I believe we can do it, and it's just a call to action that we need all hands on board.
Now, in terms of the cost thus far to restore,
the preliminary estimate puts it around 300, between 350 and 220 million US, 350 million Jamaican dollars, sorry, or 2 million US dollars, right? So as a preliminary estimate that we have been working, we are finalizing, kind of fine tuning those figures. We've brought in PQ, somebody who doing the PQ persons who are technical experts in the field, and so they are working to provide more detailed estimates at this time, and so we await those figures.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the impact of Hurricane Beryl on the education system. We have heard from the principal of one institution, but there are many. And we have heard stories of other institutions which have suffered significant damage as a result of Hurricane Beryl. Anything that you'd like to share with us, sir?
Indeed, the story of Monroe is really one that, brings to the fore the importance of how resilient we are as a sector in getting back on our feet. There are other institutions in a similar situation. And of course, schools that have totally lost their roofs, schools that have damage to or significant damage to the electrical infrastructure, schools that really need urgent attention to ensure that as best as possible, come September morning, we can host school in a conducive environment, one that facilitates teaching and learning. Now, having heard the situation there at Monroe, and with Monroe having those resources through their alumni and other business sectors, we are particularly concerned about those primary schools who may not have the reach or the influence of past students and alumni or, the business community to assist in effecting the repairs in a timely manner. And two, our concern is that in terms of the length of time it takes to, effect the repairs to these institutions is really concerning. We've seen in the past where, other eventualities have taken place. And for these institutions, the smaller institutions, it takes sometimes in excess of 2 years before those institutions are fully repaired. We want to remind everybody that the students' learning conditions and environments are the teachers' learning conditions and environments. And in order for us to have meaningful education, we must ensure that, the environments are conducive to such. So we are really urging the ministry and hoping that the same latitudes and courtesies that are being extended to Monroe will be extended to these other institutions where the business communities will come on board, where they'll offer discounts as well as, tangible material so that schools can fast track their repairs during this period. There are recommendations as an association that we have made to the Ministry of Education. We really believe that there is the need for an emergency fund to take into consideration eventualities like this. This fund must be activated when a school is damaged by fire, a school is impacted by an earthquake or a hurricane. It is necessary at this time to secure our resilience if a facility of this nature is in place at the Ministry of Education. And two, we will go further to indicate as well that we have also indicated to the ministry that there is the urgent need for the return of what we call service level contracts. There are some minor works that the schools can undertake for themselves, the minor works that fall below the procurement threshold. And we're saying to the ministry, fund these schools so that the administration, the principals, the boards can manage these funds in identifying artisans within the communities who will do good work and get the job done quickly instead of a central ministry taking on the magnitude of work for the number of schools that have been impacted. Then we ask them to look into these recommendations, and we really believe that, you know, as a sector, schools within their respective communities can get the work done quickly, can get it done at a significantly reduced cost, and can get quality work done from the artisans within the communities.
Interesting. And Dr. Smith, would that apply, you believe, to the community in which Monroe exists, where you may have artisans in the communities who can be?
Certainly, and you know, the president is so right in articulating the reality that, you know, there are so many other schools that are damaged, and I know, you know, we're one of the worst affected. However, we must not lose sight that there are many small primary schools, in particular, that do not have the you know, network to provide that support, and I call on the corporate entities to even adopt a school in its recovery effort towards burial. You know, we really need to see that type of holding hands, hearts together to get us ready for September, because we have to understand that you know, we can't allow September to come and children not to be in school and have a sense of normalcy. For a lot of children, school presents a level of stability in their life and a structure. And so we saw the impact of it during COVID. I know a lot of people say, oh, but we have online. I beg of people not to see it as the quick fix, you know, but to try and see if we can get the resources in. Yes, it's an option, but we have learned a lot from COVID with online and the psychosocial impact of the isolation that children experience using these online modalities, as opposed to having them safely back in a classroom where they can be properly monitored and structured. So let's see if we can get all the schools open. That being said, I also want to underscore the reality that we have to utilize the individuals on the ground to quickly help us also to recover from this. We have used several of the local tradesmen in the initial recovery effort. And I want to tell you, it took us almost 2 days to cut our way off the campus. Anybody that's familiar with Monroe's layout, we're on 167 acres of property. We're 2,000 plus feet above sea level. It's not an easy drive up to the school. It's almost a kilometer driveway, as long as that's how long our driveway is to get up to the school. And almost every tree that lines that driveway was actually down. And so just getting off the campus was a problem, you know. And it was these artisans, well, not artisans, but necessarily we had a lot of community persons coming out and also assisting us. We had people volunteering to assist with some of the cleanup.
Because of time, Dr. Smith, we have to wrap it there today. And there's another high school I note, the 286-year-old, the Manning School in Westmoreland.
Yeah, Manning was also
significant
at the battery. But National Education Trust, kudos to them. Their team has been out, and so we're hoping that quickly materialize in actual work. All right, and the Ministry of Education. So they have given us the pledge that they are going to move.
I'm getting a signal, Dr. Smith and Mr. Johnson. Regrettably, we have to leave it there today because of time. But there is just so much more to discuss, and we do hope and pray that there will not be another hurricane. On any further issues or for the education system. Mr. Johnson and Dr. Smith, thank you very much for being guests. Please stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Thank you. Blessings. Thank you so much.
Anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jam Bank is
7:31.
Need to beat the heat this summer? Come to Fosridge for your ceiling fans at prices as low as $15,000. Their sleek and stylish 52-inch fan blades are designed to fit and complement your interior decor. Call them now at 876-937-5099 or visit any of their locations in Kingston, Mandeville, Montego Bay, and their newest location, Draxall. Beat the heat this summer at Fosridge with their Madison ceiling fans. Prices as low as $15,000. Open Sundays.
Party can't without cocoa bread. Yeah, the party eat flat in the bread. Bread soft with cocoa bread. But the hot cast can't eat the bread. Choose the party with cocoa bread nice. With them cocoa bread are my choice. When soft, you know it tastes nice. Cocoa bread with the chicken, no rice. You gotta know. Bread. Get our best party and cocoa bread are juicy today.
In life, the more you have, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whatever I own
and whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
With Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
This Child Month, do something special for your child's financial future and health. Open a Sagicor Bank Star Savings account to get them saving early and protected when you apply for a Sagicor Life Child Protector Plan. Happy Child Month. Let's talk. Call 888 Sagicor. Conditions apply.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on my Bashco. Get it on my Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on my Bashco. Get it on my Bashco. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, and everything for your kitchen, box, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
On your mark, set, get ready to go. It's time for the True Juice 5K, the one-of-a-kind experience taking you through the beautiful True Juice orchards in Boardwalk. Sunday, July 21, 2024. Register now at truejuice.com. Entry fee only $2,500. Come run, walk, and have fun while raising funds for the Lincoln Hospital. Follow at True Juice on Instagram for more details.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have in the Gleaner, there is a headline here that reads, No Wild West. No Wild West. NPTAJ urges parents, students not to take school hairstyle ruling out of context. This article written by Sashana Small of the Gleaner. It reads, among other things, the National Parent Teacher Association of Jamaica, NPTAJ, has warned that Monday's Court of Appeal ruling on a primary school's denial of access to a female student over her dreadlocks could further disrupt school grooming policies. And we turn now to the Observer. Security lockout. Media barred from sitting of Keith Clark murder trial because of national security concerns. This one by Jason Cross of the Observer. And it reads, among other things, the trial of 3 members of the Jamaica Defense Force charged with the 2010 murder of businessman Keith Clark continued in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston on Wednesday, with members of the media locked out. We now turn to Loop Jamaica News. Denby show still on, but only for one day this time around, and that according to the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Floyd Green. The annual Denby Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show, which is normally held in the midst of the Emancipendence celebrations, to be held this year despite the widespread destruction of the agriculture sector from Hurricane Beryl. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what can we do to help those still affected by Hurricane Beryl? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Don't forget the Morning Watch is sponsored by Bashco, the store that gives you more.
Did you know that many of my schoolmates have an unhealthy diet, especially at school, and now 23% of them are overweight and are obese? And so one less sugary drink at my school may mean one friend less, or 2 or 3, at risk of cavities or diabetes. And if we're serving less foods high in saturated fats, sugar, and sodium, it may reduce our risk from obesity, heart disease, and high blood pressure. The solution is simple, right? Act now. Let's get unhealthy foods and beverages out of our schools.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
I love doing my own thing, so to have to live by my landlady rules, kind of rough. I can only park near the front gate to the right of the mango tree, but not on the lawn. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane bank savings plan enough. I buy my dream home, and I live by my own rules.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Everything with your need. Bashco. The service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, everything for your kitchen, rooms, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Why should you save? You ever hear your grandmother say, one cocoa full basket? Well, it's true. Saving protects you. You should save for an emergency fund, which can come in handy in the event of illness, job loss, or unexpected financial shocks. Saving can help you manage your expenses and reduce financial stress. Saving provides you with financial freedom.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Great sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the pan with pepper, that's the winner. Shop on supermarket, everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the part, make we shell it.
Pick up Grey sardines with peppers, vegetable oil, water, and olive oil with peppers.
Cook it up, we breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Shake it out, spice it up, make it simmer. Grey sardine, yeah, the better flavor. Quick and easy as you print it, ready.
Grey sardines, follow the better flavor.
Tiles, and more tiles! It's the Totally Tile sale event at Home and Things. Enjoy up to 70% off select mosaic tiles. Check out our new arrivals of elegant Spanish porcelain and stylish ceramics at unbelievably low prices. Save big on A-grade floor and wall tiles. Trendy designs, colors, and sizes. We've got it all. Plus other discounts store-wide. Catch the Totally Tile sale event now on at Home and Things, Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road. Lots of tiles, lots of styles.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Drakal now in relation to how our friends in social media generally, how did they respond to the question, what can we do to help those still affected by Hurricane Beryl? Drakal.
All right, so we have a response here from Cherry in Spanish Town. She says, continue to give and help in whatever way we can to make those or to help those who are in need. Yes, that's what we have so far.
And of course, we here at Love 101 FM, we have our own initiative geared towards helping those affected by Hurricane Beryl. We move right into the second watch. Now, there is an article published in Jamaica's freedomcomerain.com where the headline includes the following words: teenager questioned on gender preference. And this questioning was apparently done in a hospital, a well-known hospital here in Jamaica. Now, how appropriate was this, and what are the implications? We have as our guests this morning to look at this issue Shirley Richards, attorney at law, and Minister Donna Hussey Stewart, who is a journalist, author, and missionary. Good morning, Ms. Richards. Good morning, Minister Hussey Stewart.
Good morning, Mr. Marshall. I'm not hearing you well at all. Is there anything that could be done about that? I'm just hearing.
Well, we will see what we can do from our end in the studio to improve that. And are you hearing me a little bit better now, Miss Richards?
Just a little. I'm not into certain who is the other person on the program. Could you repeat the name, please?
Minister Donna Hussey Stewart. Minister Donna Hussey Stewart. Minister Hussey Stewart, are you with us now?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning. Good morning.
Great. Now I'm going to read a bit of the article as published in the Freedom Comerain publication, which is a newspaper publication here in Jamaica. A mother of a teenage heart patient is furious that her daughter was exposed to ideas of gender fluidity and the LGBTQI ideology when she was quizzed about her sexual preference by a doctor at the University Hospital of the West Indies during a routine visit last week. According to the mother, her daughter, who is a student at a popular high school, was asked about her relationship status and whether she prefers boy or girl by the medic who she was seeing for the first time. And there is a lot more that can be read, but only because of time. From a legal perspective, Ms. Richards, how does it strike you? How does it sit with you in terms of Jamaican law?
I think it's I think the practice, I hope it's not a practice, I think what happened certainly could be challenged. The child is still a minor.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because there was just so much to read here. In terms of the child being a minor, it was indicated here in the article that, and I don't want to misquote, but the mother was asked by the medical practitioner to leave the room, and the mother did leave the room. She had a reason why. She thought maybe it was because she was going to be asked a question about her weight loss, so she left the room. She was puzzled as to why she was asked to leave. But continue, Ms. Richards.
Yeah, the Child Care Protection Act defines persons under 18 as being minors. And so,
Ms. Richards, only because of time, I gather we are now upon a break. Hold the thought. Minister Stewart, we will come to you shortly as well. Please stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Free sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that and the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
Free sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is
7:45.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic of the second watch is concerns about the infiltration of LGBTQ questions and ideology at a Jamaican hospital. Our guests are Shirley Richards, attorney at law, and Minister Donna Hussey Stewart, journalist, author, and missionary. I think in order to add a little bit more context, Ms. Richards and Minister Hussey Stewart, I'll read a little bit more of the article, and then I'll invite you to comment further, Ms. Richards. I will continue where I left off. The mother said her daughter has a heart condition and has been doing heart checks at the hospital from she was about a month old. But during Friday's session, she was asked by a young female doctor to vacate the room so she could have a private discussion with her 16-year-old daughter. The mother said she was puzzled by the request, but complied, thinking they wanted to discuss her daughter's weight loss. The mother told the Freedom Come Rain newspaper that her anxiety increased as the private session went on for a while with the doctor. After her daughter was finally allowed to go, the child disclosed the nature of the discussion while on their way to make an appointment for her next clinic visit. And I'm quoting now. First, she started the conversation with which school she attends, if she has friends, boy or girl, and then started to ask her some other questions like if she is happy, if she smokes, and other questions, full stop. It goes on to read as follows. The quotation goes on as follows, rather. The last question she ended with was, what is her sexual preference, boy or girl? Unquote. The upset mother recounted. The mother said her daughter was obviously traumatized on their way home, and I'm quoting again, this is the way they are having their hidden agenda, their LGBT agenda coming in creepingly to really disrupt people's mind, unquote, she said. Ms. Richards, please continue.
okay, so I certainly think the case could be examined and ought to be examined against the provisions of the Child Care and Protection Act. Was the doctor exposing the child to a moral danger? I think it certainly should be examined against that legislation. Let me just also quickly make 2 points. One is the power of suggestion. And that coming from a doctor is so dangerous, because we have to remember that the adolescent brain is cognitively immature, and I'm quoting from a study, and lacks the adult capacity needed for risk assessment prior to the early to mid 20s. You know, and then of course it's all so it's dangerous.
And
then of course it shows
Your comments thus far in relation to this topic? Minister Hussey Stewart, are you still with us? We heard you earlier. I gather we are trying to have her rejoin.
Yes, I'm here. I just could not hear you, but I'm hearing you loud and clear now.
Excellent. Now, in terms of this topic, you have presented before on the Morning Watch on the area of a 10-point plan to destroy Christianity. Do you think it's relevant to what we're looking at here this morning, or what are your thoughts generally in relation to this topic?
It's 100% relevant. I did not hear what was said before, unfortunately, but it's 100% relevant, and it is, in fact, the 10-point plan coming into play, because persons may or may not remember what I said then about these 10-point plan and the fact that the United Nations have adopted these 10 points and are introducing them into countries, into nations. And
which of the 10 points in particular you think is relevant?
Right now, we're looking at the point number 6, make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle, and also reducing parental authority over the children. Because yes, because what we saw was that the mother, based on the article that was read, because I also read the article, is that the mother was asked to leave the room, which means she had no say. She should have no say in what was being said. So right there, we see the parents literally being taken out of the picture while the child is being questioned by the doctor. For me, and I'm not looking at it from a legal perspective, I'm looking at it from a spiritual perspective and a moral perspective.
Because
for me, those questions,
that mother would be like a fence to protect the child, and you remove the
exactly. And you see that her authority right there, because she, based on what she's saying, she would have stopped. In my opinion, she may have stopped the doctor from asking these questions, or she would have asked the doctor, why are you asking these questions? And so she was removed from the situation. And so we find that the parental authority, where children's decisions are now being are now concerned, are being reduced. So there goes point number 2. Now we look at the questions being asked about being, if she's into boy or girl. This is a girl. So we know from our life that a girl should be interested in a boy and a boy should be interested in a girl, because we go and we cannot fail to look at Genesis 1:27 all over again. God made man and woman. But what is happening with the United Nations is that they are entering into countries and they are infiltrating countries, they are indoctrinating countries. I want the government to indoctrinate the nations on this homosexual move, where what they are doing is desensitizing the public. And in particular...
Slow down a bit. Desensitizing the public.
Yes, when it comes to homosexuality, when it comes to accepting who you are. I'm a man, I accept I'm a man, and I act as a man. I'm a woman, I accept I'm a woman. Because what happens even here in Canada now, you go, you sign a document, you say male, female, and you say X. And X is based on not binding to any other, to being a male or a female. So X is sometimes used by people, and I'm reading from something that I'm seeing on the government, the 2024 government of Alberta site. So X now is when you don't identify. Sometimes used by people who don't identify as a female or male, or who chose not to share their gender and identity documents. So what they're doing now, they want to put in this X, and X can stand for pansexual, polyamory, intersex, all sorts of other sexes that were not created. And so what they're doing, as I said, is desensitizing our young people and our children, because like as was just explained by our other guest, that the brain is not developed until you reach mid to your late 20s. So before that, any decision that you make is not necessarily the right decision, because we know how we were as teenagers, our emotions, our thoughts up and down and all of that. Now, right here in Canada, I know that you have the transgender. At 16, you are allowed to change your sex. In the US, they are trying to get it down to 15, where at a 15-year-old without a parental consent can go. They have an institution, you change your gender, you change your sex, they give you hormone pills. Now, when you reach that age where you are now cognitive, when you are now aware, you reach 25, 26, you want to start a family, but you can't because you're no longer a man or you're no longer a woman. This operation cannot be reversed because they also put you on hormone pills. So they are now sensitizing people to all of these little things that the enemy has come and put into our nations. 10-point plan, reduce the parental authority of our children. And then
which can have the effect also of reducing the population, that the
100%.
The potential size of the population, yes.
Of course it does, because that is the plan of the enemy also. Because remember, whatever God says, be fruitful and multiply. Everything that God says that we are to do, the devil says that is what you're not going to do.
Only because of time, Donna Hussey Stewart has to pause a moment. Where do we go from here, Ms. Richards? Maybe from a legal perspective, and of course you can comment in terms of the spiritual perspective, or both of you can do so. Ms. Richards.
Yes, certainly agree with Minister there. And yes, the matter should be examined against the provisions of our relevant legislation. I want to also just mention one other thing. 80 to 95% of children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution if not exposed to social affirmation and medical intervention. So what's happening is that what that doctor did was not only put in suggestion, but may have actually affirmed something which ought not to have been affirmed.
And I gather that the brains are fully developed maybe in the early 20s.
Right. So it's not unusual for children to have gender dysphoria, but they will experience resolution if not exposed to social affirmation and medical intervention.
I wanted another comment from you, but I gather we're completely out of time. But I take it you agree with Ms. Richards?
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And I just want to add that parents need to fully be aware of what is happening in the children's life, fully aware, and encourage our children to speak to us, because we have entities that are grabbing them, pulling them in, and these entities are not healthy and they are not godly. So we have to be aware.
I have to leave it there, Ms. Richards and Mrs. Hussey Stewart. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts. Very important discussion. Thank you, listeners, for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Next week, as we look at topic and controversial issues, of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other programs. And of course, now on TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app as well. Download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. Thanks to our producer as well, Kathy Gale, and to our guests, John Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint, next week as he looks at other topical and controversial issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marsh, and handing back to Love in the Morning with Chicago.
The Morning Watch is sponsored by Bashco, the store that gives you more.